went to rake straw today. We got rain after I took those oats off, which was great. Part of the reason for combine when I did was something about having that windrow in there will bring rain. We really needed it. It was a blessing. There was over an inch down there, more at home, but it was a good rain. But now that straw needs to be raked, so I got old Grumpy, our John Deere 720 diesel out. My old 894 John Deere rake. I don't use them much anymore at all. The problem is that rake was designed in the 50s. People were cutting with a 7-foot sickle mower. A 25-foot windrow of 70 bushel an acre straw. More than that rake really wanted. It just wouldn't do a good job. So I ran to a friend of mine's and borrowed their New Holland rake here. It's a roll bar with a 5 bar instead of a 4 bar. A little better design. We're going to use that. But Grumpy's slow and the clutch started slipping a little bit. So I thought, well, what am I going to put on the rake? 4440's hooked to the baler, ready to go. My old 856 is hooked to the 3-point rotary mower, so we can go do waterways and stuff. And it's like, well, 8225R, 8200. The 8225R would be beyond ridiculous. The 8200 is insane. The 8225R would be another level completely. I don't know if the hitch would fit over the drawbar. So we're using the old 8200 on the hay rake today. I'm not sure if we'll get enough clearance with 18.446 tires and this massive New Holland rake behind me. Hopefully it's got enough power to pull it. So I'm raking straw with the 200 horsepower front wheel assist dualed up tractor right now. Yeah, it's working great. It is. I don't know what my grandfather would think if he were still alive. Well, he never would have approved of a tractor this big at all. He didn't think he needed anything bigger than, say, a 4020 was awful big. But I got thinking about this because I'm feeling pretty guilty about the fact I'm using a tractor this big to bale straw, or rake straw, I should say. Heck, the tractor on the baler's big enough. 4440, goodness, that was huge when I was a kid. Anyway, I was feeling kind of guilty and I started thinking about it. So I was probably 12 years old by the time I would get just turned loose doing field work, where they would just, trust me to, grease the rake and take off with it, with unsupervised, by taking me to the field or something like that. I was probably 12 years old, I would think. So that would have been 1990. When I was 12. So in 1990, this tractor is a 1995, late 95 build. So it's 25 years old right now. It won't be 26 until September, I guess. But it's 25 years old for the most part, I guess. 25 years old tractors. 1990 would have been a 1965. That would have been like a Farmall 806, John Deere 4020. And those tractors were raking at that point. I mean, they weren't, they were still a pretty, important tractor on farms around here. But they were, getting used on rakes and stuff. Nothing too, it wasn't like you'd never dream of using a tractor that big. It was still probably just as common to have, say, a Farmall H or a Farmall M or John Deere 2-cylinder on a rake. But an 806 4020, as a matter of fact, I rake for the neighbor quite often with an 806. So maybe this isn't crazy. Maybe this is just progress. I will say, it's nice to have air conditioning. It's over 80 degrees out and high heat index. The cab of the 8200 is really nice and comfy. Really nice and comfy. So I don't know if this straw is going to go today or not. I don't know. The windrows are so big that it's actually flipping over. And if I try and just tip them, then I'm running with the duals on them. Either way, it's fluffing it up pretty good. We're definitely getting the air underneath it. It's not going to take much when it's 80 degrees to dry it up, but yeah, it's it's kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Like I said, there's, you know, you got the tractor, you might as well use it, you know. And to tell you the truth, this is a good sized tractor. I guess nowadays it's not that big, but I would feel more comfortable turning a kid loose with this 8200 than I ever would with the stuff I got turned loose with. I can remember hauling 16-foot chopper boxes down a county road with a big hill at to a stop sign that crosses a U.S. highway with a Farmall 400 with a no torque amplifier that worked. I mean, the torque was out in one brake that kind of worked, and the other one was just a pedal there, and that was about it. So when I think about that kind of stuff, this newer equipment might be bigger, but it's a lot safer than that. I mean, there's power brakes in here and a power shift transmission. I can, you know, you don't even need a clutch. So I think about that. My kid's got her made, but not that it was all bad having that other stuff, you know. You learned a lot about operating things, and you got to form a special bond with some of that stuff. I plan on doing some machinery tour stuff, and I'll get into some of that. My love-hate relationship with some of these antique tractors that I grew up with. My grandpa was a diehard John Deere 2-cylinder guy. When I was a kid, I thought it was a punishment if I had to drive a John Deere 2-cylinder. As I've grown older, I've come to miss that a little bit. But I will get into some of that. Either way, I just love tractors. But yeah, so here we are. That straw really took the rain well. I mean, we didn't lose much straw anyways. It's nice. Should be pretty good straw here as far as yield and quality. You know, sometimes rain actually kind of helps that straw a little bit. You know, it just kind of cleans it up. You know, you don't want a hard pounding rain constantly or continuous rain where it rots or gets mud on it or anything like that. But a little bit of rain kind of doesn't hurt that straw. It takes some of the wax off, but maybe makes it better. So at least that's what we tell ourselves when our straw gets rained on. Right? Sometimes we tell ourselves things to feel better about them. I don't know. But either way, I think this straw is all right. Happy about it, I guess. We're happy enough. Anyway, got a good stretch of weather. Maybe I should let it sit. Let that straw sit. Maybe it'll bring rain again. Ooh. You know, it's been so long since I've done much raking. Back in the day, you could see who was a pro at it and who wasn't by the way they would make their corners. And, you know, you don't want to have all these swoopy turns and stuff for the guy in the baler. The baler needs to stay straight as possible so that you don't miss the wagon with the bales when it's kicking. But, you know, we don't even small square bale much nowadays. Everything's, you know, round bale, big squares for the most part. But I still like some square bales. But anyways, so we'll see how it goes when we get baling here. Anyway. So this is my friend Matt, finishing up the last of the straw. The last couple days, I've been messing around with the baler and just having fits. The old 336 of mine has given me some real problems. Matt needed straw. So I said, well, we'll work something out. And so this is his 336 baler and a 1026 International, one of the first infinitely variable tractors built. It's an IVT. Before they called them IVT, it's a hydrostatic. Pretty cool tractor. Basically a 1256 International with a hydrostatic transmission. And I'm a pretty green guy, but I do love the 56 Series Internationals. I have my 856 that I've had forever. Straw's running really good. Beautiful straw. It's clean. Pretty fun. I don't know if you're not familiar with how a small square baler works. Yep. Hydraulic that kicks her in the wagon. So I spent a lot of time doing this when I was young. So here's our square baler, also a John Deere 336, like the one my friend was running there. We had some problems with it. And this baler did sit for quite a few years before last year when I finally started growing oats again, just for this. Well, the reason we grow oats is so we can tile our own land. With us doing drain tiling, it's kind of like a mechanic. Don't buy a car from a mechanic, because he's the last guy on the list, so he never fixes anything on his car. So we don't get the tile in that I want. So we started growing oats, take the oats off, take the straw off, and then I have time in the summer to tile. So that's what we started doing. So last year I finally pulled the old square baler out again and started using it. Prior to that, it probably sat for 7 years, I'm guessing. But we're having problems with the knotters, and my buddy was there and going, and I had fought with this for quite a few hours. I switched twine, did all the typical adjustments, and I got it so where I could adjust it to get the one side, and then the other side would quit. So the brake for the needles, the twine discs here, the tension in there to hold your twine, and your bill hooks and stuff. And this is how I describe. This is the operation of a square baler knotter system. So what happens is this machine is running, and as hay or straw in this case is pushed into this chamber here with a big plunger, the bale gets longer and longer, and then when this thing trips here, it sends needles that have twine in them up to the knotters where the twine gets grabbed here, and then some kind of black voodoo magic makes it form a knot. Now, when the twine doesn't work, when the baler doesn't want to make a knot, sometimes you just anger your baler, and that's why it doesn't work. I mean, it's mechanical, but there's magic involved. Some kind of deep, dark, black magic makes a baler work. I don't know why. Anyway, so for some reason, our baler isn't tying. We must have irritated it, made it mad, whatever. Winter project, we'll probably rebuild the knotters again. I don't know. If I was smart, I would get rid of this old baler, but somewhat sentimentally attached to it. My dad and I bought this baler together when I was a junior in high school. I had my own dairy cows in high school, and we bought this together. I inherited his half. I took it. I'm not ashamed of that. It was a real step up in life to get a free half a 336 John Deere square baler. But this baler back in 1995 was still a worn out piece of junk, and it has not aged well. It's not like it's gotten better with age. I don't know. It's one of those things. The old baler, let me put it this way. When I used to bale all the time, and I used to do a lot of baling back in the livestock days and early dairy days and stuff, everybody did. I mean, as a kid in the summertime, you baled hay. There was no first, second, and third crop really like we talk about today, where guys will cut down a crop of hay and they'll take it off in like 2 days with choppers and semis or trucks and mergers and all this kind of stuff. Back then when you were, small square baling hay, it just blurred into the next cutting. You just never really stopped. Somebody was always cutting, baling, raking, whatever, unloading hay. So as a kid, that's what we did. And I have a lot of time put into this baler. And I used to be pretty good at it too. And when it wasn't tying, I could figure out, but I got really rusty with figuring out how to do this. And I do kind of enjoy doing the straw thing again and combining oats. He said, when I was a dairy farmer, I could have just chopped my oats, but for your new seeding, you'd put oats as a cover crop to establish alfalfa hay. And I would always combine the oats because I kind of enjoy combining. And when I dairy farmed, you didn't do a lot of combining because you needed most of your ground for forage. So I was always kind of happy to combine my oats and my high moisture corn. So yeah, this old baler and I have been through quite a bit together, so I'm somewhat sentimentally attached to it. My grandpa got kicked by the pan thrower, ended up in the hospital over that. Still remember that. He was pretty good with knotters. I don't know. Those old World War II generation farmers were, they were pretty tough guys. There's a reason we call him the greatest generation. I mean, he just could kind of, I don't know. Maybe he was some kind of a wizard, I guess, because he seemed to know the magic to make the baler tie when it wouldn't. And if it didn't, he could just stand back here and tie a knot. I mean, he was in the Navy or something. He'd just like one-handed tie a knot before it ever got out. So, there's some sentimental attachment to this baler, but if I was smart, probably upgrade balers or just hire it done, but whatever. So that's why I didn't include any footage of me baling, because it would have been not very appropriate. If I had every swear word back that I've ever said to this baler, I probably wouldn't have to swear again in, this lifetime. But nothing will frustrate you like a baler not tying when everything's fit and ready. So, but today we're going to unload some straw. There isn't much, and that isn't really exciting. We're just going to stack it in here. My friend got most of it, but I saved a few bales for me, which is almost kind of a throwback. Like I said, when I was a kid, I mean, you were a commodity as a young kid around this area. There were so many livestock farms that you could just unload hay almost any day. So, or straw, in this case, straw. But so we're gonna get the straw unloaded, and then today I'm gonna haul the excavator and the tile plow into that field. And like I said, that's what we're gonna do. And I'll probably do some footage of the tie-in or of the tiling. I don't know. It's exciting when you get to do your own. That's what got me into the business. This tile has transformed our ground, so pretty happy with it. But anyways, yeah, here's me and the old 336. It did look kind of cool hooked to the 4440. 4440 is my favorite tractor, and I think it has a lot to do with my age. But yeah, quite the the old metal tag on here says Durand Implement. Back when it was still Durand Implement, not Tractor Central in Durand, Wisconsin. So, it's exciting to get going on tiling our own. Maybe we should have left that straw out there some more to try and make it rain again. We're still really dry. We could really use some rain again, but crops are hanging in there, and there's a chance today. Not a big chance, but hopefully. But the oats were good. We were happy with the oats, happy with the straw yield. The corn and beans, I guess it's too early yet. We need more rain. If we get good rains, there's a chance there's some pretty good crops yet. So, all right, thanks. Oh, just a hard-working farm dog. Look at you. how that work you did. You attacked all those bales. Oh, so much work. And then you got to knock all the bales down. Oh, what are you going to do? What's in there? Go get them. You better go get them. Get them. What's that? Ah, no, you're going to knock the bales down. Oh, there you go. Yep. Hey, thanks, Hazel.